We are delighted you could join us today to celebrate our veterans past and present. Exactly 105 years ago, President Woodrow Wilson commemorated the first Armistice Days as an honor to the 2 million vets of World War I. As the year passed, however, and the number of veterans greatly increased after World War II and the Korean War. Armistice Days become the Veterans Day in order to recognize the service of our American veterans, wherever and whenever they have served. Today, we take this opportunity to say thank you to the veterans and our Butler extended family. Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the main door to the gymnasium. Through this door will come some of our nation's greatest treasure, our veterans. These veterans are escorted by a family member who attended Butler. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Navy. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Coast Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Air Force.
The Importance of the American Flag by Michael J. Cusick. The American flag has stood as a symbol of freedom and justice for over 225 years. Through wars and time of peace, the American flag has given notice to foes and assurances to friends that democracy lives. No other symbol captures the power and glory of our nation like the American flag. It has flown as our national emblem in some form without interruption since 1777. The American flag remains a living piece of history and a source of pride and unity for all Americans. The stars and stripes embody the very qualities that make our nation great: liberty, justice, freedom, love of country, and national purpose.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise in honor of America as the Butler Traditional High School Army Junior ROTC Color Guard present our national color. Gentlemen, please remove your hat. Cadet Command Sergeant Major Natalie Reyes will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Then the Butler Traditional High School Choir will perform our national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William Allen, principal of Butler Traditional High School. We're thankful that we're able to bring back our Veterans Day celebration program. This is the first year the event is held in person since 2019, so we're excited to have it back. To our guests, friends of Butler, and most importantly, the veterans of our armed forces who have joined us today. This Veterans Day, we are honored to celebrate and recognize the men and women who have served in our armed forces in defense of our nation. All of our veterans have protected our democracy, our freedom, and our way of life. It is vitally important that we as a community continue to recognize the contributions of those who answered the call to serve when their country needed them, and those men and women who came after them, committed to defending the ideals, liberties, and principles set forth in the Constitution. We owe them all, past and present, a debt of gratitude that will never be fully repaid. We are honored to host you here at Butler Traditional High School to tell you thanks. We thank you for your service and sacrifice, not just today, but every day. I would also like to extend thanks and appreciation to the Butler students for their hard work for making the program happen, our band, choir, and JROTC Cadet Bear Battalion. I also would like to thank the Butler PTSA for providing the luncheon for today. Your contributions will make today's program a truly memorable event for all in attendance. On behalf of everyone at Butler Traditional High School, thank you for your service, and we hope you enjoy today's program as we honor each of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a moment of silence for the American veterans of World War I and conflict prior, whose courage and sacrifice are the reason for our celebration today. December 7th, 1941, a day that lived in infamy. It has been 82 years since the Japanese surprise attack on U.S. Naval and Air Force Base at Pearl Harbor on the Hawaiian island of Oahu, catapulting the United States into World War II, often referred to as the Greatest Generation. More than 16 million men and women fought valiantly across Europe, Africa, Asia, and the surrounding ocean, and changed American life forever. Following 4 billion years of intense struggles, 1945 yielded the victory for the Allies. Would our veterans of World War II please stand? When North Korean troops swarmed South Korea in 1950, United Nations forces, spearheaded by the Americans, rushed to the aid of the South, saving the cities of Seoul and Busan. Nearly 300,000 of you served gallantly under General MacArthur. It took 3 years to end this war, but the demilitarizing remain today, the most heavily guarded and the most dangerous border in the world, separating freedom from tyranny. Despite MacArthur's contention that all soldiers never die, they just fade away. Know that there is no fading away or forgetting today. Would our Korean War veterans please stand? The dawn of the 1960s saw the challenge issued to place a man on the moon, a communist threat in the form of Soviet naval ship with a nuclear weapon sailing towards Cuba, and the start of a war that would become the longest period of war to that point in American history. For the first time, the evening news brought the harsh realities of war into our living room in near real time. With an average age of just 19 years old, over 9 million men and women are veterans of the Vietnam War, including those who remain missing in action. America cannot and will not rest until we bring everyone home. Would all Vietnam War veterans please stand so we can welcome you home? From 1945 into the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, millions of soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and Coast Guardmen served nobly around the globe during the Cold War, standing with a quiet resolve for more than 40 years against the spread of communism in Europe. Our cold warrior prevailed, ushering in a new era of freedom and security across all of Europe. Would any Cold War veterans with us please stand? In August of 1990, a Iraq Republican Guard drove to Kuwait to the Persian Gulf, threatening the sensitive balance of trade in the region. The United States, employing the war's most advanced fighting force, led an allied coalition to liberate the Kuwaiti people and usher in a renewed patriotic spirit within the United States. Would our veterans from Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm please stand to be recognized? Our students are too young to remember or had not been born when terrorists hijacked and crashed for a commercial airliner in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. More than 3,000 people died that Sunday morning in 2001. Since then, America has pursued a campaign to keep a cunning and shadowy enemy to keep the specter of terrorism at bay. Though we have fewer forces in the Gulf region, the battles continue. The daily sacrifice of our men and women in uniform and their families deserve our most sincere thanks. Would our friends of Iraq, Afghanistan, and the global war on terror please stand as we say thank you. Unfortunately, not who left home to serve make it bad. Let's take a moment of honors our prisoner of war and those missing in action with a moment of silence.
Today, we gather to honor and express our gratitude to the men and women who serve our country in the armed forces. Veterans Day is a time for reflection, appreciation, and deep acknowledgement. When most high school students think of veterans, they just think of someone who was or is currently enrolled in the military, and nothing more than that. What they fail to realize is that they are the sole reason why we're able to sit in the gym, sit in the classroom and learn, sit in the lunchroom, eat, and enjoy times with our friends. Knowing that there are people out there fighting for our safety should fill us with immense gratitude. Veterans are not only the protectors of our freedom, but also examples of true strength, bravery, and dedication. Their service has allowed us to enjoy the many privileges that we often take for granted, like having a safe place to learn and grow. Each veteran story is a testament to resilience of the human spirit and power of sacrifice. They show us that service is something greater than oneself, is a power and honorable choice. Here at Butler High School, we are blessed with opportunities to meet and learn from veterans. Through their stories, we gain an understanding of history that extends beyond books and lessons. We learn about the real challenges and trumps they faced, the friendship they built under extraordinary circumstances, and the personal sacrifices they made to protect the values that define our nations. These lessons remind us to be thankful for the stability we experience daily and to use our education as a tool to create a better future. Veterans also inspire us to lead lives of purpose. Whether they serve during a time of war or peace, their commitment to duty is an example for us all. As students, we can honor their service by striving to make a positive impact on our school and community through acts of kindness, volunteer work, or supporting our peers. Today, as we reflect on the bravery of our veterans, let us remember to carry that appreciation beyond this assembly. Let us make a promise to live in a way that honors their sacrifices and work toward a world that values the freedom they fought so hard to defend. On behalf of our school, thank you to all the veterans for your service, your courage, and your ongoing inspiration. We are forever thankful for your sacrifices and lessons you teach us. Thank you.
Good morning, veterans and Butler Bears. It's an honor to be in the presence of so many veterans who have proudly served their country in uniform over the years. We are so thankful to your service to our nation and your leadership in our community. As the senior Army instructor for Butler Junior ROTC and our program, I'm personally grateful for the example you set for our cadets and for our students here. It's especially humbling to see the servicemen and women who came before me and the other instructors setting a tremendous example and paving the way for our service. In particular, our Vietnam veterans have always been heroes to me and those of my generation. These men and women selflessly served during one of the most challenging times in our nation's history, and they often didn't receive the welcome home or appreciation that we, the Iraq, Afghanistan, enduring freedom veterans, were blessed to have. Their sacrifices and the awareness they brought to the American people truly charted a path that benefited me and my brothers and sisters in arms, and we are forever grateful for all they did for our country. Today's guest speaker is a Vietnam veteran from the United States Marine Corps, who served as both a platoon commander and as a company commander during that war. He is a Purple Heart recipient who truly embodies the values of personal courage, honor, and selfless service. It is my honor and my privilege to present today's speaker, First Lieutenant Nick McIntosh.
In 1918, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, a silence fell all over Europe. That was the armistice that ended the First World War. Back when I was a kid, it wasn't Veterans Day on November 11th. It wasn't Veterans Day, it was Armistice Day. As was Memorial Day was not Memorial Day. It was called Decoration Day. After the Civil War, there were a number of women who put flowers on the graves of their fallen family. In 1971, a law was passed making it official that both Veterans Day and Memorial Day would be entrenched in our history. Today, we're here to celebrate. We're here to celebrate the peacekeepers, the keepers of freedom. I tell them, there's something that you haven't taken into consideration. Would all the wounded people please stand up? Thank you. We were said to be at the tip of the spear. If you notice, the tip of the spear, size-wise, is pretty small. Talking about being at the tip of the spear, people tend to forget that without the shaft, the spear is totally useless. In Vietnam, it took 13 soldiers to keep one soldier in the field. It took 10 Marines to keep one Marine in the field. So what we have is, excuse me, what we have is a lot of people that are doing their jobs. If they didn't do their jobs, then there was a problem. Ironically, there's a gentleman over here, Jerry, stand up. Jerry and I served together for 6 months in Vietnam, and he will attest to the fact that there are rare occasions where people that were at the shaft of the spear were unable to help us. We spent 7 days surrounded up in the mountains in Vietnam, 4 days without supplies because they couldn't get into us. So I know how important the people in the rear are. In Iraq and Afghanistan, from what I've been told, there was no front line. Consequently, you had a lot of people that were wounded, that weren't in front lines, theoretically on the tip of the spear. In our chapter, the military under the Purple Heart, we had one lady that was at one of the fire bases that was wounded. That's an example. We have peacemakers who knew what it was like to fight for a cause and die for a cause. The traditional reason for wars was acquisition of terror. It was acquisition of territory. And we had freedom fighters that were defending not only our country, but other countries around the world. To give you an idea of what the casualty rate could have been and was in Vietnam, out of the infantry officers I trained with, 15% were killed in Vietnam. Combat troops know that in the twinkling of an eye, they can pass from the storm of battle into the everlasting presence of peace. And as the beat of the drummer fades, the angel of death begins his mournful song. There's been no fighting on mainland United States for 159 years. Yet we have soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen who are in 26 cemeteries, 31 monuments, and the bottom of the seas. There were 17 countries where we have cemeteries. That is when we had to help other countries maintain their freedom. Veterans know the hardship of war. We've paid the price. Once the price has been paid, it must be continuously defended. If you look around this room, you'll see a number of people in our JROTC uniforms. There are future peacekeepers. But you have to remember, freedom is not a birthright. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be passed down from generation to generation without being defended. You've got to pay the price. In the First World War in Belgium, there was a British nurse, Edith Clavell. She was not only treating the British soldiers, she was treating the wounded German soldiers. On top of that, she was helping smuggle out over 200 British soldiers and get them back to Great Britain. When the Germans found out about this, they put her on trial, found her guilty, and ordered her execution by a firing squad. The night before she died, she was talking to her priest, and she said, standing as I do in view of God and eternity, patriotism is not enough. The next day, she asked Father Gahan to tell her loved ones that my soul is safe and I'm glad to die for my country. Fight for freedom does not end with an armed conflict. We need to have strong military to protect freedom of ours and others. And again, I go back to the cadets. You're the potential leaders of the freedom fighters. In 1918, a 19-year-old soldier was wounded. He was shot by a machine gun. When he was 95 years old, we got him a Purple Heart for being wounded in combat. Just for your information, this is a Purple Heart. After the ceremony, somebody asked him, said, "How'd you get wounded?" He said, "Well, we were out on a recon patrol. We got to the edge of the woods, and there was this valley. And out in the valley, there was nothing moving around. Of course, there was a few cows laying up on one slope of the hill. So they thought it was safe to go out into the valley. When they got in the middle of the valley, machine guns opened up on them. He said, "I was shot by a cow." I go, "What? You were shot by a cow?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "After I got wounded, I was laying there and I looked up and there's this cow and a machine gun over the top of it shooting at me." Somebody asked him, says, "Was it worth it putting up with all of the physical problems you've had over the last 80 some odd years?" He looked at him and said, "I would do it again." He also finished up by saying, a country not worth fighting for is a country not worth living in." He knew that freedom isn't free. You've got to pay the price.
Sir, on behalf of Butler Traditional High School, our junior ROTC program, and our entire student body, we'd like to present you with this small token of our appreciation for you being here today, for the words you shared with us, and for your service and the example you've established.
It's my honor and it's my privilege to introduce the commander of the Military Order of the Purple Heart for Kentucky, and one of our Army instructors, First Sergeant Stephen Schwarzenbrand.
As Cadet Pham said, I am currently the Department Commander of Kentucky Military Order of the Purple Heart. I also happen to be fortunate enough to be a JROTC instructor here at Butler Traditional High School. As of today, after Butler Traditional High School will become the first Purple Heart High School in the United States.
Proclamation for Butler Traditional High School. The Purple Heart High School. Whereas the mission and statement of Butler Traditional High School is produced, informed, responsible, contributing member of society by offering a safe and structured learning environment that fosters a positive self-concept and perceptive self-motivation and high academic achievement. After leaving Butler, alumni can rest easy knowing that they are better prepared for college and for life they have ahead of them. Whereas Butler Traditional High School has an enrollment of over 1,300 students and gives to them opportunities such as KUNA and student government. Whereas Butler Traditional High School has employed numerous veterans on their staff where they have taught business, civics, American history, along with various other duties in the school, giving students the knowledge required to understand what civic duties mean. Whereas not only Butler giving students better employment, it has also given them an opportunity to share their experiences with the next generation, so that the next generation may benefit from their experiences. Whereas the experiences the students have gained from the instructions they have received allows them to determine their own path forward, whether they enroll, enlist, or employ. And therefore, let it be declared that Stephen Schattenbein, Commander, Department of Kentucky, Military Order of Purple Heart, do hereby claim and bestow the honor of being a Purple Heart school to Butler Traditional High School.
Mr. Allen.
Any ceremony which honors veterans is incomplete if we do not recognize those who gave their last full measures in the service of our country. Written during the Civil War, taps was a banquet call used to signify the end of the day's work. It was time to lay down the burdens of the day and to bed down for the night. In death, a service member can lay down for the final time their earthly burdens. Please stand for the playing of taps in honor of those who have fallen in war or in peacetime while serving or in retirement.